All right. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, I am going live in my Retire Ready Facebook group today. Okay, so my name is Renee, and I am going to be talking about the college planning process today from a financial aid standpoint, and really just helping families to be a little bit more creative and change the way they think about the college planning from a finance standpoint. So again, I'm Renee, and if you are watching me live, then please let me know where are you watching me from. And if you are catching this on the replay, again, type in the comments and let me know where are you watching me. And if you have someone who can benefit from this live, please share it with them and let me know if you have any questions, and I will certainly do my best to answer them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So as we know, the Supreme Court has blocked President Biden's program to forgive student loans based on seeing that it was unconstitutional for him to do this. So there's no doubt that we have a problem with student loans, and something has to change. So I want to talk a little bit about what are some of the problems. Americans owe over $1.78 trillion in student loan debt. This is impacting 46 million borrowers. And basically what this means is that to the extent that you are paying these student loans, that's less resources that you have to contribute to the economy. That means that you can't buy homes. It's harder for the students to save for their retirement or just to save in general. So this is an issue. And then on average, a college student is graduating with approximately $29,000 to $30,000 in student loans, depending on the statistic that you're looking at. And then the U.S. Department of Education says that roughly 2.4 million Americans that are over the age of 62 carry an average of 40,000 plus in college debt. So that means that this is definitely, the student loan issue is definitely having an impact on the adults who are taking out money to help their children to pay for college. And in some cases, it is their own student loans that they are still paying because the student loan system, the program, is broken. It is broken. And we also need to revisit just the college program itself, just going to school. While I do believe that college, a college education is still a worthwhile endeavor, I think that the cost that college is currently at right now, I mean, you could easily spend 200,000 plus on a college education, and that is a little concerning. So we have a system, it's broken, it needs to be fixed. So some challenges that I see and practice with clients is that many clients, they're overspending on a college education for their children. The process typically goes something like this, where the student will say, "Oh, I want to go to XYZ college or university." And then the parents try to figure out, how can we pay for this? As opposed to determining what it is that you can pay as a family, and then find the school that's going to match what your family contribution is. Families are taking on too much debt. There are families, especially lower income families, that are taking on plus loans that they really don't know how they're going to repay them. This is having an impact on savings and retirement plans. It is a balancing act when it comes to going to college. It is such an emotionally driven process, because oftentimes parents will want their children to attend a particular college, and that child wants to attend a certain school because maybe they've gone to that school, they visited the school, and they've fallen in love with it. And so it makes it really difficult for families to tell their children that they cannot go to a certain school. And I've seen cases where a parent has actually sold their home so they can afford to pay for their child's college education. So, what I'm going to ask you to do as a parent is to think about college from a financial standpoint, in addition to an emotional standpoint. I know that we want the best for our children, but we also want to make sure that we're making good, sound financial decisions. And remember, parents, you are the one that is driving this process as opposed to our children. You have the most to lose. And I believe that the best gift that you can give to your children is for you to be financial stable, for you to make sure that you are continuing to contribute to your financial plans, to your retirement plans, so that you will not have to rely on your children for retirement. That's the best gift that you can give to your children, is to continue to save for retirement and put yourself on solid financial ground, or maintain your solid financial standings. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Renee Collins. I'm a CPA financial planner, and I am also the founder of a company called Retire Ready. Retire Ready is a registered investment advisory company in the state of Illinois that focuses on helping first generational wealth builders and entrepreneurs to develop a healthy relationship with their money so that they can save more, invest smart, and so that they can build generational wealth. So that means that not saving just for today or building wealth for today, but also for the next generation as well. And so, like I said, today's focus is going to be on college planning, thinking about how do we get our children through college without necessarily jeopardizing our finances. So I believe the process should start off with you determining as a parent, how much can you afford? How much can you afford to spend out of your spending plan? And if you don't have a spending plan, then I would encourage you to take a look at last week's video. I did a video last week on creating a spending plan for yourself and for your family. Review your spending plan and ask yourself, is there any line item that I can cut back on so that I can help get my child through college without taking on debt? So take a look at discretionary spending. Those are items such as vacation, travel, entertaining. Take a look at those line items to see, can you cut back there? And then analyze your assets. Any 529 plans or Coverdale plans or any tuition plans that you may have in place, take a look at those and see how much can you take and apply that towards your child's college education. Look at your savings. But even with your savings, you want to be sure that you maintain that foundation. So you don't want to use your emergency fund savings. Anything that you have excess and above your emergency fund or other items or savings goals that are earmarked for something else, you don't want to use that money either. So realistically look at what can you afford to take out of your savings to help your children fund their education. And then another thing to think about is possibly taking some equity out of your home to pay for your children's school. But I caution you here because you want to ensure that if you're taking equity out of your home, that you can afford to pay this line of credit, because that's what you would generally have to do, is take some type of a line of credit against your home to utilize those resources to pay for college. But make sure you can afford to do that. Be very careful here. The next thing you want to do is you want to complete the federal application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. And basically, this is a free application. The process of the application is going to open up October 1st for students that are going to college next year. It helps you determine how much money you can actually receive from financial assistance. It determines your expected family contribution. And it uses a number of factors. Some of them are financial and some of them are non-financial. So it will look at your marital status. It will look at your age, then also your income and your assets. And something to think about here is that if you have assets in your child's name, remember those are going to weigh heavy against what the FAFSA form believes that your children can afford. So if your children has assets, that is going to count more than your assets. So just something to think about if your child has maybe a trust or something in their name. And so other assets could be anything like your savings, your investments. It does not consider any retirement assets. So that's an important consideration. If you can put away more assets into your retirement accounts, if it's going to boost up your ability to get financial aid, something to think about, especially if you're a business owner. Now, there's some planning opportunities that can definitely happen with business owners. So again, just something to keep in mind. So the formula itself is really pretty simple. Basically, it takes a look at the college costs. So whatever college your child is thinking about going to, it looks at, how much is this college going to cost on an annual basis? And then based on your expected family contribution, it's going to determine what your financial aid eligibility is. Now, your expected family contribution number is, as I mentioned before, it's going to be really dependent upon a number of factors. The higher this expected family contribution number is, the more it is expected that you're going to be contributing to your child's education. And the lower it is, then again, it's going to be assumed that you're going to be contributing a lesser amount to your child's education. Now, once you receive this expected family contribution, I recommend that you compare it to your spending plan. So take a look at your plan again to see how much can we realistically afford to pay versus what the federal government is telling us what we can pay. And once you come up with a number that makes sense for yourself and your family, then the next step is you want to start looking at schools. Start looking at schools that will pay you some money. So this step, again, look at that. This is at the third or fourth step into the process. So look at schools that will pay. Schools will pay based on two things. One, need based. So that means that you need financial assistance, or also merit based. So the merit base is basically scholarships, and that is going to be based on your child's academic record. Now, you can do one or two things. You can either go out and once you have your expected family contribution and you have a good idea of how much you can pay, you can go out and take a look at you could just basically Google this. You can Google schools that provide the highest amount of need-based aid to see what you come up with. And then do the same thing with merit-based. So if you are a high-income family, it is likely that you're not going to get any need-based aid. So you're going to be looking for merit-based aid. And then if you're a family where you're lower income, you are going to be looking for more need-based aid. Or if you have a child who is, academically talented, then look for merit-based aid as well. Now, in my office, I have a number of resources that can help you with your child's college planning. I have a list of the nation's most generous colleges and also schools that offer students a full scholarship and more resources. So feel free to send me an email, or you can go to our website and you can fill out the contact us form, and can receive a 30-minute free consultation. And our college planning is a part of our full, holistic, comprehensive financial planning. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out what is the net price. What is the net price to attend a particular school? So the net price is basically, it helps families, excuse me, to determine how much they will potentially pay to attend a university in the prior year after you consider all the grants and the scholarships. And this is a really useful tool, and it's important to understand too that any college that participates in the FAFSA program, which is just about all colleges, they are required to have this calculator on their website. And sometimes, though, it's not easy to find. So what I would recommend that you do is basically Google it. So put in the college name and then put in net price calculator to see what comes up. And then once you take a look at that, start playing around with it to see what it says. And I actually have an example here of my alma mater, DePaul University. So this is what their net price calculator looks like. And what's interesting here is very useful, is that it gives you an idea of what your estimated net price is going to be to attend this university. Now, DePaul is expensive. I didn't even realize DePaul was this expensive. But the cost of attendance is $62,000. And hopefully you guys can see that. It's pretty small on my computer. But it tells you, this calculator is going to tell you what the tuition and fees are. As you can see here, it looks like it's 41 or 43,000. It's going to tell you what the housing costs and meal plans are. It's going to tell you the books and supplies, and then other personal items as well. So again, you see that it's $62,000 to attend DePaul for 1 year. 1 year, and this is just an estimate. So you can't really rely on this as like for financial aid. Now, the point of this is that yes, it provides you with the net price, but if you go through this calculator and put in all of your information, your child's information, it's going to ask questions about your academic scores or the child's academic scores, information about the family as well as the student's finances as well. And then once you go through this, it's going to say that based on all the information you've put in here, your income, your assets, the child's academic record, this is what we believe that you are going to receive if you attend DePaul. So it will provide you with that information. And to me, it is very good to have this information and to go through this process before you apply to a college, because it's going to give you a sense of whether or not you can really afford the college. So I would have the students go through the schools that they're interested in, look at their net price calculator to see how much do we think it is possible for us to get if our child attends the school. And you want to do this before the child actually applies to the school and falls in love with the school. Okay, and then you have to figure out, how do you bridge that gap? So you've determined what you're willing to spend. The federal government has basically told you what they believe that you can afford to spend. And then once you put the information into the net price calculator, now you have a sense of, okay, how much do we need to bridge this gap? And this is the place where you can get creative. Think about, how can I get my child through college without losing my shirt, so to speak? So how do we get the kids through school without necessarily taking on a lot of debt? Now, the kids can go to a community college, because we know that the first 2 years, the child is taking mostly general education classes. So this would help to cut your costs by at least half, because on average, a community college is less than $12,000 a year. They could also attend an in-state public university. Public universities the cost is way less than the cost to attend a private institution. And the states will typically kick in additional resources if your child attends a public university. Again, something to think about. Your child could take AP classes in high school for credit. When my sister attended college, she was able to get 12 credit hours against her college curriculum before she even walked in the door. So again, something to think about. And then you can do a co-op. So the child can do a co-op. My roommate, when I was in college, she would work a semester and then she would go to school for a semester. And her employer also helped to pay for her college. And I thought this was a great idea, because by the time she graduated, and granted, it would take her a little bit longer to graduate, but by the time she graduated, she had little or no student loans because her employer helped to pay for her college education. Another program that I just found out about, I think last year, I had a young lady on my podcast, and we were talking about affordable ways to pay for college. And one of the things that she mentioned was a dual credit program. I'd never heard of this before. With these dual credit programs, the high school that your child attends will have a partnership with a junior college or community college in the area that allows the child to take college classes at a nominal fee, and sometimes even free, depending on the relationship that the high school has with the community college. Again, there are a lot of ways that you can be creative in terms of getting your children through college without jeopardizing your family's finances. So be creative here. Think of some ideas and some ways to help your child get through college. So here's what I want to say in summary. One, think about, what can you really afford? Do the spending plan. Figure out if there's a way for you to cut back in certain areas in your spending plan, whether it's vacation, travel, entertainment. Look at ways that you can cut back so that you can afford to pay for your child's education without taking on student loans, be sure to complete the FAFSA and do that as soon as possible. Even if you don't even think you're going to get any financial aid, complete the form anyway, and then let the schools come back and tell you what it is that you can afford. Compare your expected family contribution to your spending plan. So take a look at what the government and schools they say that you can afford and what you feel that you can afford. And then try to find schools that match your spending plan, that match what you feel that you can afford. And they're out there. You just have to look for them, and we have to be a little bit more intentional and purposeful and looking for colleges, and then have your children create their list of schools that they want to attend, and then go and find the school's net price calculator. Go through their calculator to see what is the school saying that you can afford. Now, you can't 100% rely on these calculators. It's just a tool and it's an estimate. And the tool, the price that is in there for tuition and fees is going to be a little dated. So it's not 100%, but it should at least put you, in I want to say the ballpark. Should give you a sense of what you're going to be looking at. And then find creative ways to bridge that gap between what you're comfortable with paying versus what the school, going through the net price calculator, and figuring out, what the school says that you may be able to afford. You won't know with 100% certainty what you can afford until you actually get your award letter from the school. But at least you can be in the ballpark, and you're not at a place where you're maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a little bit off versus being $25,000 or $30,000 off, and you're trying to figure out how do you get your child through a school that is saying that you need to pay $30,000 a year to get them through college, and that you can't afford that. You don't want your children falling in love with the school before you actually figure out if you can afford to pay for the school. So those are my recommendations. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me, and we can provide you with a 30-minute consultation. Just go to our website at www.retirereadyinc.com and sign up for a 30-minute free consultation. And in the meantime, you guys, go be great today.